Welcome live to Manchester, UK. It's just gone 6 o'clock in the evening on this very sleety day. You can get dry weather, snow, rain, and of course hail all mixed in one day. That's the beauty of Manchester, UK for you. Now, we're joined today. It's been a mad week of guests, by the way. It's like the third one this week, all based in the Great America, of course, and different parts of America. We kicked it off with a broadcaster slash actor slash journalist in Boston, and now we're going to end this week. I believe I could have one more, but this is my last one that I know of at the moment. With a broadcaster slash journalist from, I believe, Penn State in the United States, or was in one country, who is a great person who I came across on YouTube, by the way, on YouTube. That's how I came across this person who I like this work. And I reached out to him, I think, on Christmas Day. I could be wrong. I think it was Christmas Day. If it was Christmas Day, then it was, because I do work on Christmas Day. No days off for me, getting guests to come on this show. Please welcome Carlos Garcia. I hope this works, because I did not actually test this beforehand. And, it does work. There you go. You can see him on your screen. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Edward.
You're welcome. I appreciate you for responding, because when I reached out to you on Christmas Day, I believe it was, I did not think you would get back to me on Christmas Day. I knew you would get back to me, but I didn't think you'd get back to me on Christmas Day because you might be busy with your family and whatnot. But no, you did respond, and I appreciate that. And we made it happen here today. You're currently not in Penn State. You're currently in Florida, are you? In Miami?
Yeah, yeah, I'm back home. So we're actually on a break for the semester right now. So I'm back home, just enjoying the warm weather, not like over there in Manchester where you said snow and rain, which is what the current climate is like up in Pennsylvania where I study. So definitely nice to enjoy the warm Florida weather for a couple of weeks until I have to go back up there.
Yes, back to the cold, back to the wintry aspects of winter, because in Miami and in all of Florida, they don't really get much wintry effects, do they? So I bet it's lovely to cool down and to enjoy the lovely beaches and the lovely people around them as well. Um, I did not know that Penn State was in Pennsylvania, so that's something I now know, which is quite good for my expertise. Carlos Garcia, you're from, of course, Miami, Florida. You study in Penn State, we just mentioned a moment ago. So, what inspired you, though, to become a journalist here um, in 2022 onwards? Of course, 2021, of course, was that your first year?
My first year was 2020, or the fall semester of 2020. But yeah, I'm currently a second year student at the Pennsylvania State University, Penn State for short. I think what inspired me, that's a great question, first of all. What inspired me to be a journalist? As we see the current climate of news and journalism today, you see a lot of reporters, especially when you enter the field, the first thing they tell you is this is a job that you're going to have to do if you love it, right? This is not about the money, especially coming out of college and entering that field for your first 2, 3 years. You're not going to be hitting heavy paychecks. This is something, and like you mentioned, you reached out to me on Christmas Day and you were working holidays, like you mentioned, no days off. That's the life of a journalist. You have to work holidays. You have to work late nights and weeknights, or weekdays, excuse me, or the weekends. And just even holidays too. So this is a profession that people need to hear the news 24/7 every day. This is not something where you can take a day off and people will just be okay with it. So being a journalist, it's hard. Just having to go day in, day out, and really take those, like I mentioned, those long nights, the weekends, the holidays. So that's just something that you keep in the back of your mind when you enter this profession. But nonetheless, I think that I love it. What really got me into the journalism was the junior year of high school. My high school, Belen Jesuit Preparatory School in Miami, Florida. They have a great state of the art studio, great just journalism field all around in the high school. So the idea really came up to me when I was picking my electives for my junior year. I think when you enter your junior year of high school, you start to think it back in the mind, especially in the United States. Um, what am I going to be studying in college? I'm going to have to start applying for applications in about a year or so. So that's definitely something that was rapidly approaching. My parents and I were discussing at the time when we picked the elective, what's something that is right for me? What can I mold my career around based on my personality, all my talents, certain abilities. So the sheet that my high school gave me, you have to pick a certain electives, and they give you, I think, you're supposed to pick three options and pick one, two, three based on what's your favorite. And I remember I picked a language as my first elective. I think it was French. Being I'm bilingual, English and Spanish,
Yes,
so
which we'll
I
get
really
into in a
wanted.
little bit.
Yep. So I think being trilingual, adding in that French perspective, I think that really allowed me to. It would have elevated me in terms of like being trilingual and reaching out to more people. And then I picked the second elective as broadcast journalism, right? So being on the news, just learning about what the journalism field encompasses, like the First Amendment and all these other rights, and then of course being on camera. So that was something that I picked as like a backup elective, I guess. And then about a few months later, when I started my junior year, um, my schedule came back, and I had gotten my second option, broadcast journalism, and I was like, I like this. I really wanted French, but I'm gonna test this out, and see what happens. So coming into my junior year, I had an open mind about it. I had actually, never really been like on news on camera. So it was great just learning for that first semester of the school year, just learning everything about the background of journalism, what it encompasses being a journalist, especially like the First Amendment, all these protections you have, all these different things when it comes to the news. Then fast forward into the second semester of my junior year, I jumped on camera. I mean, I was great. I loved it. I was a news anchor and a sports anchor, so that was great to hear. And then I fast forward into my senior year, and took the same class again at an advanced level, of course. Same teacher, same group of kids, small group of kids, and it was great. I mean, and now I find myself, I applied for college applications as broadcast journalism, and now I'm at Penn State, studying journalism with a minor in sports studies in Spanish. So I think that looking back, it's crazy to see how in my junior year of high school, I picked my career major, and it landed me where I am today, which is it's pretty crazy. If you ask students in the United States in high school that they pick their major in, like junior year, I mean, basically senior year, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do till senior year, and I had already been taking that 1 year of that journalism class. So I was like, you know what, let's do it. I like this, and I like to think I'm pretty good at it. I'm trying to be humble here, of course, but definitely I mean, I've been blessed with the opportunities that journalism has presented me, and the position that I'm in right now at Penn State.
Absolutely. And if you don't believe him, by the way, if you don't think that he is pretty good or even excellent at what he's accomplished so far, then check him out on YouTube. Check out Penn State on YouTube, by the way, as well. And I will give the actual YouTube name of the actual channel in just a moment. I'm actually on my phone here, so just bear with me about that. But while I'm getting that information, was there any particular person as well who inspired you, maybe from the world of journalism or for something completely different, who has helped you on the on this world, on this road, not road?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you ask, I think every child, every boy specifically, when you ask them growing up, what do you want to do when you grow up? I think they try and narrow it to one field, sports, right? And it's whether you're an athlete and you're playing professional sports, or you're the guys who are covering the sports, right? So the journalism field, and I've encountered many people, going to an all male school. Once again, Belen Jesuit. I think it really narrows the field in terms of what your abilities are, right? With the positions, because everybody there, especially, I think our journalism class, as I mentioned, it was very small. This is not something that, especially like when you go into the real world and you're in the production world, news studios, they're small, right? They have a
Yeah.
couple people running things. You have your two anchors on desk, and that's it. You can't have 30 people in the studio at one time, because causes chaos. And I guess the more the merrier. That saying really doesn't apply in terms of the news world, because you have you have a lot of people trying to do too many things at once, and it's just going to go crazy. So, going to Belen and having the opportunities everybody's saying, especially when I first joined, everybody's like, oh, I want to go to ESPN. I want to work for ESPN. I want to do sports. It's like, yeah, that's probably what I wanted to do in the beginning. That was my inspiration, going to ESPN, and I've been an avid sports fan my whole life. I've played countless amount of sports. My dad was an athlete too when he was growing up in high school. My brother as well is an athlete now. So I think sports has been the revolving factor in my household. Just being able day in and day night. It's funny, like every time when we're eating dinner, my sister's always like, "Oh, we always have sports on," and it's like, yeah, that's kind of what's been the main factor growing up. It's been like sports every day, but definitely watching ESPN every day and just seeing these personalities. Like I'd say my favorite broadcaster right now is Stephen A. Smith, just because his loud, energetic personality, and he really has some great takes. But I definitely have to say that what really influenced me to being a journalist was, I think, comes down to two people. One, first of all, my dad. My dad has always been a huge supporter in anything and everything I do. I think he really was kind of like the cat. Of course, my mom as well, but my dad was really that catalyst into saying, like, you're very witty, you have a great personality. I think you should really try this. And it reminds me of a story of back in Florida a couple years ago. I think they shut it down now, but they had this place called Wanna Do City, and it was like a big complex, kind of like a smaller version of like a Disney World where indoors, and it was like kids had the opportunity to go, and they had like different stations set up, different areas, and it was kind of like the different professions that a person can do. So they had like a firefighter, right? And they had like a makeshift fire truck, one of the fire poles that you could slide down and you can put on the vest and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we went there once, my family and I and a couple friends. I may have been like 7 years old. And coincidentally enough, I guess this was like the first time I had ever thought about journalism when I was like 6 years old. They had a news station, right? So they had kids, working the studio, working cameras, or if you're lucky enough, you got to put on one of the suit jackets they had there, and you got to be on camera at the desk. Coincidentally enough, I was one of the ones who was picked to be on camera at the desk. Mm-hmm. So I put the jacket on, and to this day, we have the tape here still in my house, and we watch it, frequently sometimes. And just looking back, I think that was like one of the first times at Wanna Do City that I was able to like show my on-camera personality. But definitely my dad has been one of them. And then second of all, my high school teacher, Johnny Calderin, from Belen Jesuit, he was the one who was in charge of the journalism field. He was the one who was in charge of running the shows with us day in and day out. And he really was, he's just been a great inspiration for me. He, like I mentioned before, he was really the one who got me into journalism at my school. He really, I think he saw the talent or the abilities that I had in myself, and was really trying to get those out of me every day, just really pushing to go that extra mile and do projects, staying late. I remember that we covered a good friend of mine who graduated with me. He was an athlete on the basketball team, and he had torn his ACL going into his junior year. And for all the athletes out there, that in high school, those 4 years that you have, especially if you're on varsity for only 2 years, that every opportunity you get is important. So tearing your ACL, having that injury is a huge setback to one's professional career, especially if you want to go into sports, you're an athlete. So just having that setback for him, I was able to, do like a feature piece on him, kind of highlight his road to recovery, what the injury was, and how he's recovered from it, and how he was performing at the time playing basketball. So that was something that I had to stay every day, late night, after the 8 hours of school, had to stay, do editing, shoot some more filming, kind of like do interviews and cover the story. So that was something that it was difficult, but I thank Johnny for really pushing me and just giving me the ability to showcase the work that myself and my colleagues have put in at the time at Belen. So definitely my dad and Johnny Calderin have been probably the two big inspirations.
Not bad picks. I'm surprised you didn't give a mention to good old coach as well. The good old coach, not so fast. You know who I mean? Because we do get ESPN over here, by the way. So if I'm not giving you a full about saying what the earth is ESPN, because we all know what ESPN is over here. We get college game day. We get NCAA football, baseball as well, all calls NFL as well, and ice hockey. So we get all those mainstream sports over here.
Great to hear.
But it'd be good to see you on ESPN. Hopefully one day. Hopefully we can see you on a some kind of a broadcast where they show it here in the UK. So I can say, yep, I know who he is, and I can get he text him, and then he can get he text me back on live TV. I can say, yeah, there you go. See, I do know him. Thank you. But before we go any further, you mentioned on your Instagram story I would say about 20 minutes ago. You posted a unique opportunity here today, haven't you? Because I'm in the UK, you're in the USA, so I bet you're quite surprised when people reached out to you over the past few days saying, this is interesting, what on earth's going on here? When I announced that you were going to be on my show.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess there's it was definitely surprising at first, just because, number one, from the UK, such a great country, but it's weird to see people of course, it's weird to see people reaching out from outside of the United States, right? It goes to show that the work that I've put into, creating my demo reel, which is on YouTube, which is what you encountered to get in contact with me, and as well as, making my website, all that takes time, effort, and then, of course, the weekly shows, all that has been a factor of, us being together right now in this interview. But yeah, it was just weird to see that somebody from another country reaching out. It shows that, there's somewhat of a hope that there's a Carlos Garcia globalization movement, or that people are seeing me from different countries. So that was great to see. But the other thing that surprised me too, I called it a unique opportunity just because, being a student journalist at Penn State, I wouldn't expect to be interviewed just because I'm a student, but I think that being a second year student, I think I've gotten some experience under my belt, and I'm able to speak on the field of journalism and what that entails being a journalist day in, day out. So I'm glad to be here. Definitely a unique experience nonetheless. But yeah, it was definitely, I guess, a humbling moment to kind of see somebody reaching out to me that really surprised me. So that's why I called it a unique experience.
No, yeah, I like it. Nobody's mentioned that before. So you're the first person to say it's a unique opportunity. So thank you for saying that. And I did do I do a bit more research because I did come across your demo reel. At first, I didn't know if it was actually your YouTube channel or it was somebody else's YouTube channel which uploaded your demo clip because it was under a different name. But then, because I didn't watch, I watched it all, but I didn't watch the actual ending where you could reach out to contact you. So I searched your name. Nothing came up at all under what I was looking for. So I had to go through the actual channel because I had to go back in your video, rewind to see what where these footage is coming from, and that's where I found PSN News, which stands for Penn State was it Network News or something like that. Was that
Penn State Network News.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Good. That's good. I got that on the spot, by the way, so I didn't Google that. I just thought maybe that's what it means, and I'm happy that's right. Yeah, so as a on the spot guess, and I get that correct. So that's not I do it very often. So. And then I found the PSN on Instagram, and then I went in to see if you were tagged on any of the posts, and that's how I came across your profile that way. So I did a bit of digging. It took me about an hour to actually find you after I obviously found the demo. Yeah, there you go. But we got there.
I definitely have to make some changes to the demo reel in terms of making it a little bit more accessible for people to find me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some great detective work there.
Yes. Absolutely.
I guess I'll speak a little bit to PSN News, Penn State Network News now. So currently on campus, I'm involved with PSN News, which is the school's loan and the official news channel. So we cover national well, local stories at Penn State, and then national stories that are going on, as well as some other stories. We obviously cover sports, entertainment. We even are starting weather up this year again. So that's been great to see the meteorologists in the studio and what the work they've been able to put in. But yeah, so PSN News, and then I'm also involved in another show which is called Penn State Sports Night, PSSN. So that's a little bit more like an ESPN style sports show. So we have a couple people at the desk, just covering different topics in sports week in and week out. And it's really great to see. I mean, I love both of the shows and the opportunities that they've given me, being a news anchor for PSN News, being on the desk night in and night out. That's definitely something that I've enjoyed. And then also, Penn State Sports Night, just being able to talk about sports, obviously something that I love and I know pretty well. So I'm grateful for the people that are running those clubs and the opportunities that the Penn State School of Journalism has given me.
Absolutely. And there's some free plugs for you, Penn State. Don't know if you'll see this video. If you do see this video, leave a comment, please. And then I know that you've seen this. Because there's some great people there. And you mentioned about the weather. Of course, for many years before, I always did thought because I used to I am still a subscriber to the weather channel for PSN. And I always did think if there's a news channel or a sports section as well to go along with the weather report. So it took me until when I found you, Carlos, to find that there is a channel for just news and sport as well, not just the weather channel. So finally found it after like 10 years of watching PS Weather. I finally found the actual bit of it as well. So it's great to finally able to tune in to hear other things apart from the local weather to do with Penn State. So that's great to see. But yes, a lot of hard work goes into it. A lot of people work day and night to make sure there's no errors and making sure it's correct when it goes onto the to the people watching on YouTube, that the information they are getting is it has been fact checked, has been verified by maybe other people before it gets put out on the airwaves. So it's great to see as well. But imagine there was a lot of people on set. Imagine like 30 odd people running around. That'd be quite hilarious to see, but also chaotic at the same time. Of course, in this country, Carlos, as I'm hoping maybe in the future in the US, you may have some more rival news channels for breakfast, because over here we had a very bitter battle to see which breakfast show was number one, and it happened on the day when Piers Morgan last year stormed out of Good Morning Britain, and it was the number one show ever. It actually beat its competition for the first time ever, for one day only, when Piers Morgan stormed out the studio on that fatal day in March of last year. What a year it was, wasn't it? Of course, a year ago today was those Capitol riots in Washington, D.C., when they stormed the House, I think it was, the House of Representatives. Yeah, that's it. Almost had the wrong one. I thought I'd stop myself. With, of course, people storming it and taking over the Speaker of the House's room and all that business. Can't believe it's been a year ago. Anyway. But back to you, however. All the people who may tune into this afterwards from your university thinking, I wish he picked me. I wish he saw my demo. Well, feel free, if you want to be on the show, if you know Carlos, then let me know, because we love to have you on the show, just to mean you're not jealous that Carlos is getting all the spotlight here tonight. So after you graduate, because I'm guessing it's about 4 years, isn't it? I think maybe 4 or 5 years you spend at Penn State now. So it's after you graduate, after 4 years, it means you got 2 years left then, is that right?
Yeah, well, actually, it might be a little bit shorter just because I have transfer credits from my high school. So we're looking at about 3 to 4 years, so about a year or two left.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Crikey. So he's after that, I might not be able to have you back on this show after that. Oh, no, I thought that's a bit of a shame. So, what would be your best move then? What would you be doing after that? And hopefully ending up somewhere, even noodle sports, obviously. But before you get to that place of ESPN, then would you want to stay in Penn State region, or do you want to go back to Florida to be on local TV there, or what's the plan?
Right. I think that, like, I mean, like I mentioned previously, asking a couple of children growing up, what's your dream job? They say obviously something to do with sports, right? Whether you're playing the sports or you're covering it, such as myself. I think definitely ESPN is the goal in the future. If it's not covering sports at ESPN, I think definitely the main goal for me is I want to be at a national level, right? So whether that's covering news or sports at a national level, definitely the shark to catch is getting to that national level, right? Getting to the top. Um, I think now getting into the second half of my collegiate career, the big thing is having an internship in the summer, a big summer internship that you can really add to your resume and add to your work experience. So I'm currently in the process of looking for a couple of internships in the spring semester that's coming up, and as well as the summer. But definitely when I graduate from Penn State, I really wouldn't prefer going back to Florida or staying in the Pennsylvania region, the Northeast area. I think whatever's best for my career in terms of which job gives me the best opportunity to excel and to move up in ranking. I think that's what I would take. I mean, it would be nice to go back home, being in Florida and the nice Miami weather. But I wouldn't mind, going up to New York if I have to, covering a local station. I think that I definitely see myself starting at a small local station. That's usually how it works when you get out of college and you're looking for a job. They usually kind of throw you into a small market and say, all right, now you have to work your way up. And we really need you here at the small market. So you're going to have to start working immediately. And that's usually how it works. So I can definitely see myself being thrown into a small market somewhere. But if I had the opportunity, I would love to either go back to Miami or stay in kind of that Northeast area, a region that I'm familiar with. I love Boston. I love New York, obviously two big cities in the United States. So the likelihood of landing a job there at I guess a big station there would obviously be slim to none. But definitely, I really don't have any preference as to staying or as to choosing a geographical location for getting the job. It really just it comes down to what's going to be the best for my career, what's going to put me in the best position to succeed and showcase my abilities.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, 100% agree with you there. I do like how you say Boston, by the way. Great way to say that, by the way. We don't need a person who said so with so much energy behind the word Boston. Or even Birmingham as well, as people like to say wrongly over here in the UK. Or even Glasgow. They say Glasgow wrong as well. It's quite funny when they say Glasgow or Glasgow. Or, it's Glasgow. Anyway, that's that's nothing to do with you, by the way, Carlos. That's not aimed at you. I just say that in genuinely. I know there's a lot of shows I've watched, not just news, but like reality shows which have come over to the UK, and they say we're coming to you from Glasgow. It's not Glasgow, it's Glasgow. Kind of fake. But no, that is quite right, because usually that's the way it goes, isn't it? You start off small somewhere and then you work your way up. The more experience you get, the more people will see you, and the more eyes you can get on you is where you get to a bigger place as well. So hopefully, maybe one day you might be able to be in Europe or in Australia as well. Maybe one day, you never know what may happen.
Definitely.
Like covering baseball from the Olympic Stadium in London, for instance, because they did do that in 2019 for 1 year only. Maybe become a yearly thing, but that did not happen at all. 1 year was enough for them. But hopefully they're back soon on in the UK, bringing back baseball because it was a very good turnout. I don't know if you saw that back in 2019 the game. Can't remember what it was because it's been so long. But the games that played there had a great crowd. Just like when the NFL comes to London, at
Right.
Twickenham or at Wembley or even at the Tottenham Stadium now as well.
Mm-hmm.
So some great people, some great crowd that turn out. It's great to see as well. But before we get to that as well, now you're Spanish. Where did that all come from? When did you start learning Spanish? Because I don't know much Spanish, so if I need to translate it, I can just ask you now. This is great.
Yeah, definitely. So, actually, my family is Cuban. Both my parents are Cuban. And then I also have family in Spain as well.
Nice.
So, kind of a mix of between Spaniard and Cuban. So, Spanish has been prevalent in my household ever since I've been born. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I think especially a lot of students in the United States today lack the ability to have that second language, and I think Spanish is kind of the default to resort to if you're learning or if you're looking to learn a second language, just because, obviously the predominant language in America is obviously English. But I think Spanish is a pretty big factor too, especially if you're looking for, like myself as a journalist, looking for a job. A lot of news stations and big companies like to see that you're bilingual. They prefer Spanish because there's more of a Spanish market in the United States as opposed to any other language. But if you're just the ability of having two languages under your belt, that's something that's critical in finding a job and really advancing into the second stage of your career, moving up the ranks, as I mentioned before. But just going back to my Spanish background, as I mentioned, family in Spain, Spaniards, and obviously the Cuban predominant side of the Spanish. I took Spanish every year of middle and high school. So that's at least 7 years, adding into a factor as well. They have a couple of at my public school that I went to in elementary. They had a program after school where you can learn, or you can kind of build upon your Spanish. So I was also involved in that. And of course, having the Spanish language spoken at home and at my grandparents, at my aunts and uncles' house, that's been something that's been cemented into my brain. And that's kind of been a factor into choosing my minor, right? As I mentioned earlier, double minor in sports studies and Spanish. I kind of figured, I'm not paying extra to take these credits, and I'm already bilingual as it is. Might as well showcase it on my degree that I'm bilingual. So that was a pretty big move by myself to pick that and kind of advance. But yeah, definitely Spanish is something that a lot of people, for all the journalists out there who are listening, not just journalists, but business majors, marketing, anything that you're going to be interacting with people on a daily basis, even lawyers, especially in Miami, the Hispanic population here, you're going to be encountering a lot of people who only speak Spanish. And if you're somebody who can only speak English, you're going to be facing that language barrier, and that's a potential client that you're losing out on, or information might get misinterpreted. So definitely something that one of my advices, I guess, would be to learn a second language, especially Spanish, if you're based out of Miami or whatever. But definitely in the United States, holding Spanish is something that's pretty important to me and advancing my career and just interacting with other people on a daily basis.
Yeah, and you showcased that as well on Penn State News, I think, or Sports, one or the other. I think it was with a international student. That's what I want to call it, because according to that profile on Instagram, to the person, you know who you are, it says international student, and I think, I could be wrong, it's a Colombia flag, or somewhere in the South America region, I think.
Yep.
It's very cool, I have to say, because I did not know that they did that. So it's quite cool that international students can come and learn, journalism, and to learn to learn English as well. This is very cool as well. And he is very good. I have to say, from what I've seen with you guys, with yourself and him. So good chemistry. Even though
I can definitely.
Even though I didn't know what you were talking about, however, but I could tell it was very good chemistry. All I understood was money, money, money.
Yeah, I can speak on that a little bit. That was actually that was a part of Penn State Sports Night. We did the producers of the show. This happened last year in the second semester, about March. Um, March, kind of one of the last weeks of the school year. Um, Obviously, myself, people knew that I was bilingual, that I could speak Spanish, and then my counterpart on that show, Juan, great friend of mine. He's actually I don't I don't think he's an international student because he's from Miami as
Oh, is
well.
he? Okay.
Um,
Well, my
yeah,
apologies.
and no, I mean his Instagram bio might say international
Yeah.
student, but he definitely no, he's from Miami and
Okay.
he's Colombian and he also speaks Spanish as you mentioned. He's very good at it. Just his accent, the way he
Mm,
he has like a very monotone
he
voice,
does.
which is kind of good for news, or just being on TV. It's a very soothing sound. So Juan and I had the opportunity to talk about the Champions League finals that was coming up at that point. Just talking about the European Super League that was also in the works. Unfortunately, that never happened.
Yeah. Thank God.
But
Oh, thank God for
yeah. So
that.
yep, that was huge. So that's where the inspiration of the money, 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 money. That's
Got
where my
ya.
line came in, where I was talking about that the Super League, they were just creating this kind of generating more revenue for the clubs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Juan and I had the opportunity to do a show in Spanish, which is something that hasn't been done for years at Penn
Mm,
State. I don't think there was ever one that was done,
wow.
if I remember correctly. So yeah, just being a part of that for the first time, that was something that it took my breath away, and it took the breath away of a lot of people there that were able to see, the ability that Juan and I had to speak Spanish, and that's something that we're also creating in the works again. We want to do that. That's all Spanish show again this year. So definitely check out my Instagram channel, my Instagram page for that show that's
Plug,
coming up.
plug it.
Yeah, it's Carlos. It's Carlos Garcia, CAR. The L is a one, and then OS, and then Garcia, GARCIA, and then there's two A's at the end.
There you
So
go.
Car one OS, and then Garcia, two A's at the end.
And you're also on Twitter as well.
Yeah,
Can you tell us what that is? Because I know you've not been on it for, I think, 2 days.
yeah. I don't really use Twitter that
You
often.
should. You should.
My
I
Twitter.
told us the
I
other
mean,
day as well that you need to
I
use Twitter.
I do like Twitter. It gives, I mean, obviously the possibilities of posting on that are
Mhm.
endless. I think Twitter is more for like short updates. I follow like Adam Schefter and Adrian Wojnarowski, two senior I guess insiders that cover NFL and NBA. So it's good to see like that they post daily, updates on different players getting injured, the status of whether they're playing or not, and just different other news revolving sports. But yeah, I'm on Twitter, C Garcia News. The news is all capital, that word. So I don't know if that's a factor or not in searching up people. It helped me. I think news in lowercase was taken, so I just decided to put it in caps and see if it worked, and it sure did. So,
That's
but
interesting.
yeah, I like Twitter. It gives the ability to just post short messages and post whatever's on your mind. Um, and especially for just finding out quick news in sports and just national news and stuff, it's a great tool. So I definitely need to get back on that. I created it only like about a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Something new. Yeah. So
I
I
let you
want to
off.
say maybe even a year ago. Yeah.
I
So
let you
definitely
off.
something that okay. So definitely something that hasn't been on that much. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, get on a bit more. Is what I would say. Let's go because I know I think you got like under. I could be wrong. I think it's like under 100 followers compared to your
yeah.
big Instagram presence. So hopefully, before you know it, you will have more followers on Twitter than maybe on Instagram. But either way, I have followed you on both those platforms, on both Instagram and also on Twitter. I know a lot of people use Facebook as well, so maybe one day you might see a Facebook page appearing of Carlos Garcia as well. But when you got to Penn State, of course, when you got to meet all the other people who were going to be involved in these news shows and whatnot, what was your first impression of all those people, and what was the first few things that you've learned and the experience you've gained since starting?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the biggest issue at getting to Penn State and starting that journalism career was so I graduated high school in 2020, obviously the COVID year. So when I started my Penn State career, I actually applied and I got accepted into Penn State without even visiting the campus. So that
Wow.
was the biggest barrier, because travel was restricted for a little bit,
Got
and
you.
I mean, obviously, I was able before school started, and I had already accepted my spot at Penn State. My parents and I were able to travel up there and kind of see the campus. Obviously, a lot of the buildings were closed due to the school year being out, and especially with COVID. But I think the biggest issue was COVID and just not having the best experience in terms of making friends. Obviously, I was able to meet a great group of people in PSN News and Penn State Sports Night, and I really think COVID didn't affect our shows that much, but definitely I think my college experience was tampered in the first year just because of COVID. Penn State has strict rules when it comes to wearing a mask, and especially now, I think you don't have to. They're not mandating a vaccine, but I think it's difficult if you're not a vaccinated student. So definitely, I think the biggest issue was just COVID being presented in the studios, right? So, but other than that, I mean, obviously the two clubs that I'm a part of, PSN News and Sports Night, I think they've done a phenomenal job in handling the situation and really getting those new members involved. Um, I mean, I was selected as a news anchor. Obviously, I had the experience in high school, right, for 2 years. So I really wasn't that. It wasn't like a big scare going into like a collegiate setting. And even though this is a student, both of the shows are student run at a college campus. I mean, they're as professional as it gets,
Yes, exactly.
right?
I was going to say that you couldn't tell, could you? You couldn't tell you were actually
Yeah,
a student one program.
right. Everything, all the new. We got a new studio this year, so you might see on my demo reel. Some of the clips are a little bit different in terms of quality and the background setting. We changed from an off campus location, which was an older studio, to a new on campus, modern, state of the art technology, everything. So that was really good to get that. Those high quality clips and obviously the microphone audio and whatnot. But I think the ability that I've had to join these two clubs. I got I guess hired or selected as a sports anchor. I started off my PSN news career doing sports. I did sports for 2 years, and then coincidentally, it was towards the end of my first year, so last year. One of the producers reached out to me and said, "Hey, somebody got sick last minute. Do you mind filling in as a news anchor?" Um, and I said, yeah, I had that experience, and I've actually wanted to change from being a sports anchor to a news anchor next semester. So I figured this would be a great, I guess, a demo run. And it went exceptional. And, the rest is history. Now I'm on news nightly, and it's great. And then for sports night, everybody there it's a great group of people. I like to think that they're basically my family away from family, right? We've the bonds we've created, and the amazing people that I've met there. It's been surreal all around.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. And hopefully you can create many memories and many to last forever, of course, and to stay in touch after Penn State is done
Right.
and dusted as well. Even though it might be quite hard to meet them in person because you might be all over the country or maybe even over the world as well. But hopefully so. Many memories will be made and stay in touch for definitely. So if you can answer these next few questions a bit fast as well, if you could, not because you give us some great answers so far. It's just that because we are running a bit out of time. I don't want to have to close this off without getting all my questions to you. So what's been some of your favourite and least favourite stories you've had the opportunity to report on so far?
Awesome. Yeah. So, being a journalist, and as I mentioned before, I've had the opportunity to cover sports and news in my short time at Penn State. I think one of my favorite stories, obviously, is it has to be with Penn State Sports Night. I got the opportunity to, kind of talk a little bit about UFC 246, I believe,
Mhm.
was a big match. that just happened a couple weeks ago. That was something cool. But I think definitely the best story so far has to be the Spanish one,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just the ability to bring in that second language into the club and really show people. I think it knocks people back. And I think Juan, the guy who did the show with me as well, he can attest to this. Everybody was starstruck. And that was just something cool, bringing in something from like my hometown, right? Like something that's been a part of my culture since I've been born. Just bringing in that Spanish level, that was a unique opportunity. In terms of the least, I guess the least favorite, obviously the news. It can't all be happy-go-lucky stuff. Unfortunately, there are some sad stories that happen. I mean, I reported on the Travis Scott concert, where I think the death total is now up to 21. On that, the one that just happened a couple months ago. So that's something that sometimes you don't really like to report those stories, but you have to, because you have to give people. You can't create a false perception of reality. You have to tell people what's going on, whether they want to hear it or not.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, going back to the bright side, the Spanish and everything, just every week I go into, especially the sports show. I go, I mean, prepared and ready to talk about sports. I love it. And then news, it's like we have a rotation. So I go on about every 3 weeks or so. I've been filling a lot for a lot of people this year. So instead of getting the normal 3 shows a semester, I think I'm up to like 6 or 7.
Well, that's good. We can see
Um,
more of you.
exactly,
In,
exactly. Which is my
in
my
a good
my
way.
reel. Exactly, which is my reel is 3 minutes long. It's packed with. It was really hard choosing which clips to use
Mm,
because there was so much. But yeah, definitely, just going into both those clubs day in and day out and enjoying and talking about sports and news. That's just something I love. So even though there's good and bad stories, I come in with an open mind and I guess a bright personality every time I enter the studio.
exactly. Yeah, that's where to be. And, a friendly face to trust on Penn State news as well. So it's quite good to see. It's quite sad that it can't last forever, on Penn State. That you can't see the same people every month or every year. It's a shame that
Right.
people have to leave to find pastors to somewhere else where sometimes they don't upload their videos to YouTube. Like different news stations to like upload their whole show onto YouTube. Some do and some don't. It's a bit of a shame, but I wish more did. That's what I have to say about that. Of course, you mentioned before you report on UFC as well. I know you love American football, NFL, of course. You follow the Rams, so I'm guessing that must be your favorite team.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people ask me, "What's your like favorite sports teams?" Right? And being in Miami, the default option would be the Miami Heat in the NBA, the Miami Dolphins in football, and then the Miami Marlins in
Uh-huh.
baseball. That is not the case. I only follow one team in Miami, and that's the Miami Heat. They've kind of been, I mean, not kind of, they've been the best team in my lifetime. Um, and I'm like an LA, Boston, Miami fan when it comes to sports. I don't really follow a lot. I mean, some people may say I'm a bandwagon, but I don't really follow sports teams. I follow more sports players.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, my favorite players are. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just players that I like to see day in and day out on the pitch, whether that be soccer, playing football, playing basketball. But yeah, definitely football is the LA Rams. I got into the Rams because Todd Gurley, he was one of my favorite NFL running backs coming out of college from Georgia, and then he got picked to the St. Louis Rams, and then now they're in LA. But
Yeah.
just seeing that transition, Odell Beckham Jr. has been one of my favorite players as well. Just an electric playmaker. He's on the Rams now. And then when it comes to baseball, the Dodgers as well. Mookie Betts, who actually played in Boston, and which is another one of my, I guess, favorite sports teams to watch. I had the opportunity to go to Boston for a neurology and psychology conference a couple years ago. And one of the, I guess, the free days that I had, I was able to go watch a Red Sox game. And that was where I kind of fell in love with Mookie Betts and the talent that he brings to the plate night in and night out. And then I saw his move or his trade to to the Dodgers, and then that was kind of like, all right, I kind of have to follow this team now because one of my favorite players is there too. And then of course like Clayton Kershaw, an electric lefty pitcher, who's also on the Dodgers. So just I tell people, like, yeah, it may look like I'm a bandwagon, but I follow more players than anything, right? A
Fair
few years
enough.
ago, I was also I was also heavily invested with the Toronto Blue Jays,
Okay.
just because of Josh Donaldson, an MVP third baseman who really was just took the world away in professional sports. So I follow more players and teams, but definitely the three teams that I follow in the NBA, MLB, and NFL has to be the Miami Heat, the
Yeah.
Los Angeles Dodgers, and then the Los Angeles Rams.
Fair enough, fair enough. And so as mentioned as well, because I'm not mentioning this for since it went bankrupt, but then got rescued out of by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I hope you know what I'm talking about. The XFL returns next
Yep.
year. Will you be watching it again for the love of football?
I actually saw a little bit of the XFL before it got shut down.
Yes, for the second time.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. It gives players an opportunity to kind of revive their career,
Absolutely.
and yeah, it really brings kind of like a nonchalant like perspective to the game. In terms of like, these players are kind of like retired or they're out of the league and they're looking for like a way back. One of the most electric players I've ever witnessed was Johnny Manziel, right?
Oh, yeah.
Money Manziel, Texas A&M quarterback. He was electric, right? Obviously, his NFL career did not pan out,
No.
but just, kind of seeing him trying to make that step in the right direction to get back into the NFL and joining the XFL, that was great to see. I think more too, I see it as like people who were undrafted in the NFL draft and they're looking for a way in, like people who deserved it, who haven't like derailed their careers. I think that's a way or a way that they can get back into it, and that's something that I enjoy seeing. So I'll definitely be watching the XFL and the NFL to see if either people in the NFL need to go to the XFL because they're being overpaid or they're taking a roster spot from someone else, or people in the XFL who really deserve a shot in the NFL.
Indeed, and it's even quite weird as well. But like, again, as your boss, your paychecks coming from Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Danny Garcia. That is a very unique situation. When it was rumored back in late, I think it was late 2020 or early last year, of when Dwayne Johnson bought it out. I'm thinking, I didn't think it was true until on the day when it happened. That Dwayne Johnson was going to buy the XFL. So hopefully, third time is the charm. Hopefully, it can last more than one season. Because the other two times was owned by a different person called Vince McMahon, who is still around doing other things. If you know who he is, by the way. He was now about 70 odd. 70, I think like late 70s now, I think he is.
Yeah.
So, what goals or achievements are you wanting to achieve this year, then, Carlos?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Take more airtime away from other people. Like last year.
I mean, listen, I don't like taking time away from people on camera. I believe that the people who were picked to be anchors, I think that they've been picked for a specific reason.
Of course, yeah.
Because they have of course, they have the talent to represent the school and kind of advance their journalism career. Obviously, I'd love to get on camera more, but I think a couple goals for myself would be to advance my professional career. Right, I think that's kind of a wide range, a big umbrella to cover, but definitely I'm looking for a big summer internship this year. I've applied with a lot of big sports leagues. A lot of that is confidential, but big sports leagues, so big stuff tuned in for the summer. Obviously, I think getting more time on camera, right? Whether that be Penn State Sports Night, kind of covering a lot more sports. I like to call myself, like a Swiss Army knife because I really can cover a lot of sports. I covered soccer in Spanish, soccer in English, American football, baseball, basketball. I think I even did a UFC as well. I think I even covered like golf one time.
Oh God, not
But
golf. Oh God.
yeah, exactly. Those are the things. Those are the type of sports we cover on Penn State Sports Night,
Yes,
right?
you do.
And
Yes, yes. I
especially with the
just.
Olympics coming up, we're going to
Oh yeah.
be having a lot of more, or a lot more, I guess, sports and other different topics coming up. So that's something to definitely stay in touch with. But so yeah, definitely advancing my professional career, getting a big summer internship this year, and just networking, right? I
Yeah.
think that's one of the most important things when you're in college. Reach out to people, whether that be Penn State Sports Night, PSN News, just people that you know but you don't interact with that often. I think you really have to go out, talk to your advisors, talk to the dean of your college, really get in touch with maybe even your high school, right? If your high school was as big and as prominent as mine, especially in Florida, I think you really have to use your alumni contacts and really network with those people, because they're going to be the ones that are going to help you get a job. Um, a great quote, I guess, or saying that I like to hear all the time. My dad tells me it's before it used to be about what you know. Now it's about who you know, right? So 20, 30 years ago, if you knew a lot about the field and whatever you were studying, you were most likely going to get a job. Now it's about who you know, the networking, the contacts that you come in touch with every day. It's if you know this guy and he knows somebody else, and next thing you know, you're in contact with like the senior insider at ESPN. That's it. That's your one way ticket to getting into ESPN. Even if you have to start off as, I don't know, a film logger, right? So somebody who's like logging film, logging stats. That's how you work your way up. I'll quickly touch upon this. Going back to the Miami Heat, head coach Eric Spoelstra is one of the best head coaches in the NBA, but he started off as a videographer, I think, with the Miami Heat, or like an intern, a video intern, and then he was able to work his way up in the team, and then next thing you know, he's the head coach of the Miami Heat, and he has 3 championship rings under his belt. So that's just something that you see, and definitely have to work your way up. But I think obviously just those are a few of my professional goals and what I want to do this year in terms of advancing my career and potentially reaching that next step.
Absolutely, and I wish you the best of luck in your um, goals and achievements for this year. And
Thank you.
hopefully, you either tick them off or you reach past them as well. So, the best to you, and hopefully, either at the end of this year or this time next year, we might have a conversation about how those goals and achievements went, if you were able to meet them or surpass them as well. That's what I'm
Right.
looking for. If, of course, you're interested to do so, unless I've got to speak to somebody, unless I've got to speak to your people to get you on the show, as they say. But we can see about that, I'm sure. The other question is, as well, like, did you have a good Christmas and New Year?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I guess Christmas and New Year's was a little non-traditional this year.
Okay.
My dad actually got COVID, and
Right.
he was quarantined for a while. And my mom had, I guess, some flu-like symptoms, so she thought she had COVID as well. So in a Hispanic household, we celebrate the 25th Christmas, but we celebrate the 24th, which is it's called Noche Buena. I
Ooh.
guess like good night in English. It's kind of poorly translated. But yeah, we do. We usually have dinner on the 24th, and then obviously we open our presents the 25th and go to our relatives' houses and whatnot. But yeah, it was a little non-traditional this year. Everybody was kind of quarantined, and it wasn't the best, but definitely, I mean, it's a new year now, so I guess it's a fresh start. Everybody's healthy,
That's
thank
good.
God, and yeah, we can just go into the new year with a new mindset and get ready to kill it this year.
And hopefully, you get to do your traditional festivities as usual this December as well. And
Right.
only 11, just over 11 months to go. Not counting down nothing like that, but yeah, just over 11 months to
Yeah.
go. And could we ever see you come to the UK? I know some of your friends have been to the UK. Being pictured on Tower, the London Tower Bridge. I think it's like the right bridge they were posing at. You know who you
Yep.
are, if you're watching this. But yeah, could we ever see you come to not just to London, but other parts of England and the United Kingdom?
Definitely. I mean, I'd definitely be open to going over there. Covering soccer. I'm a huge football fan is football is the real way to say it.
Yes.
Huge football fan. So yeah, I'd be interested in going over there. Seeing Manchester. I got a question for you. Is Manchester blue or red?
Well, that's a good question.
I think Manchester is red.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I think a lot of people will disagree, but I like Man United.
Good.
I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, great player,
yes.
but Messi is Lionel Messi is the greatest of all time in my opinion.
Okay.
But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, that's for your opinion. We can all about our opinion of who we think is the favorite footballer in the world. But I'm glad you chose the right team in Manchester, though, Carlos. That's the main thing. I was going to get a bit worried. I mean, you're going to say, I thought you were going to say the other Manchester team. Like, oh no, not that team. No. But yes, the greatest team in the world in soccer, football, is Manchester United. It doesn't matter if you play for Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain. The place to be is Old Trafford. Because even our manager, the old manager, the best manager in the world, celebrated his 80th birthday recently as well, and he's still going strong.
Yeah, Man United is definitely a great club, and their future. I mean, even though Ronaldo is reaching the latter end of his career, I think they're in good hands.
You can't tell. He's saved it a few times in the Champions League.
He's very conditioned, and obviously the talent is there. But yeah, Man United is in great hands for the future.
Well, yeah. Well, we just need to find a right manager who can take us to the next level to get us back to challenging the Premier League. Because this time last year we were doing quite well. I think we got to second, and then this year it's just fallen apart. Well, not this year. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I should say, with the firing of Oli, and then this new manager coming from Germany. I'm not impressed with his style yet. I don't see nothing improved since when Oli left. Don't see no improvement at all. So he needs to get his act together. But it's interesting to see who will be the next manager, though, I have to say. So I'm sure that's another story for another day as well. Just to recap, though, before we do end this live stream here on youtube.com /Edward Fowler, stay tuned to PSN. That's Penn State Network News on YouTube, PSN News for short. You can also find them on Penn State Sports. Is it Sportscast or something like that?
Sports Night.
No, Sports Night. I knew it was something like that. Yeah, so Sports Night. Check them out on YouTube. Subscribe to both those channels. Share them around to all your friends. Tell them about Penn State. Tell them all about how they are the best in what they do, and tell them about how that Carlos Garcia is the best anchor and reporter for Penn State as well. That's my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, then we can argue about it on social media. As well, make sure to follow Carlos on both Twitter and Instagram as well, to help him out to boost his followers on Twitter and Instagram, and to make him the most followed guy in the journalism world. I'm sure can be done. I'm probably break a record for that. So there you go. Make sure you follow him around, and make sure you share him to all your friends. Tell him about Carlos Garcia. Tell him that he actually is a great guy. Behind.
Thank you for those praises.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, my opinions, they count. I think for something. But I mean that, and I mentioned that to you in the chat in the first message I sent you when I reached out to you, just to make sure that I wasn't like some bizarre message you may get. Like a message request thinking this guy seems fake. So I want to include loads of things so that it didn't come out like it was a fake message kind of thing. And I will say them here on here as well. I mean, it's for real. But yeah, that's it. I think just one more thing to say to my guest Carlos. That it was a great pleasure to have you on the show, and I do hope that you will come back on the show again, if of course you enjoyed your time here today. To all your colleagues back at Penn State, I'm sure they will be blowing you up when they see this. I think giving you their thoughts about how this went. Hopefully they enjoyed it, Again, if not, then feel free to argue with me on social media about it and all that good stuff. And maybe, you never know, if you're jealous about how Carlos is getting all the limelight here tonight, then reach out to me. Want to be on the show? Reach out to me. Simple as. And Carlos knows how they can contact me as well. But if you enjoyed this episode, though, make sure to like it on YouTube, share it around to all your friends, leave a comment in the comments below, let me know what you thought about Carlos's answers and my questions to him. Any future questions you want me to ask Carlos for a future interview as well. Also as well, if you're new around here, then make sure to smash that subscribe button, because we have got over 156 subscribers. So with your support in growing our channel, to growing this channel, to get more views, get more likes, the more people, the more fresh players we can get on this channel. But until the next episode drops, enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening or afternoon.